What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Lagunitas Brewing Company, and they are headquartered in Petaluma, California, and this is their Sonomica, and it's a part of their Woodshop Series, and this is the 2020 vintage. So they're calling this one a Sour Farmhouse Ale aged in Sonoma Red Wine Barrels with Brettanomyces. It comes in at 8.2% alcohol by volume, 11 IBUs, and at the time of review, I don't know exactly how old this bottle is because it does not have a straight can-on date. It has kind of a Julian code on it, but it's kind of rubbed off, so I can't see it. But I will say this. I'm pretty sure this beer was released early fall of 2020. So we'll just say, at the time of review, this bottle is approximately 1 year old, give or take a month or so. We'll just go with that. And I want to give a huge thanks and shout out to Steven for hooking me up with this one. Thank you very much, good sir. So yeah, Lagunitas. I haven't reviewed anything on the channel from them lately because I just got back into beer reviews after a 10-month hiatus. And I love Lagunitas and their Woodshop series and their other series and their hop forward beers and just one of the best values in craft beer. So yeah, anyway, this just sounds like fucking insane to me. A Sour Farmhouse Ale aged in Sonoma Red Wine Barrels with Brettanomyces. Like, yeah, let's do it. Coming back with a bang for Lagunitas, and I couldn't be more excited. So let's crack this open, get it into a glass, and see what we got going on. Again, this has been aged for about a year, and I'm excited. It's been a while since I've had just like a straight like mixed culture kind of beer, and this is pretty much what it is. Farmhouse ale, Sour Farmhouse Ale, Brettanomyces, red wine barrels, the whole nine. Yeah, this is what I need in my life. Anyway, so that pours out this really nice amber color. This looks like an old school West Coast IPA. There is very fine sediment that I can see. Let me hold it. Yeah, very fine sediment, not a ton of carbonation, about a half finger of this real creamy, off-white colored head. Yeah, that looks like, to me, that looks like an old school West Coast IPA, or maybe like a new school West Coast IPA with a little bit more haze to it. But it's not, totally not. Let's get a nose on it. Yeah, holy shit. So this has like a Flanders red kind of quality to it, to the nose. Like I'm getting big, like caramel sweetness, toffee sweetness, like a cherry kind of, dark cherry kind of sweetness, or maybe just a straight up like cherry, just plain cherry. But then I'm hit in the nose with just this really acidic, souring kind of, from the Brett, mostly like that horse blanket type of, aroma that you would get from something like this. That red wine is very noticeable too. But I love that it has that that malt sweetness up front, 8.2%. So I wasn't really thinking about it, but yeah, 8.2%, a lot of malt in there. Has a lot of that malt quality, but you get the red wine. The Brett's adding that like horse blanket type of thing going on. It smells like it's going to have a nice sourness to it, maybe like a low sourness, high tartness. Little bit of like a slight vinegar type of aroma as well. There's like a different fruitiness to this too as well. Maybe from the red wine, just like I'm getting like a generic like red grape quality. Man, fucking super complex. It's every time I go back, I get something different. Yeah, this smells awesome, honestly, just because I haven't had something like this in quite a while. I mean, again, a lot of beers I've been reviewing lately are hazies and things of that nature. Big pastry stouts, sours, lagers. Something like this I haven't had in well over a year. So it smells fucking awesome. Like it smells like this is going to be what my palate needs, like a slight palate reset. So thanks again to Steven. Let's see what this one has to offer. Cheers, everyone. All right, that nose was screaming, like a huge intensity, a ton of complexity, punching me right in the fucking face, and then I drink it, and it's very subdued from the nose. A lot of those characters are carrying over, but the nose is dialed back quite a bit, honestly. Body on this one's like medium, lower side of medium. 8.2% a little bit thin based on the alcohol percentage, but I don't want a beer like this to be fucking super thick and viscous and chewy and shit. So I'm fine with the body being there like that. The mouthfeel, a lot of carbonation, very prickly. It's very crisp on the palate, which works for a beer like this. Again, kind of happy with the body and mouthfeel based on what type of beer it is and not so much the ABV of it. The taste, though, right up front, I'm hit with all that malt sweetness. There's a lot of caramel. There's a little bit of toffee, a lot of caramelized sugars at the forefront. Passes through the palate. Some of those cherries I was getting in the nose, a little bit of red grape, a little bit of like a fruity just yeast ester kind of hits me. There's I would say a cloud of that horse blanket kind of farmyard kind of funk thing going on. It's not too big, but it's kind of blanketing the palate, so you get it every time you take a sip, but it's not the predominant note type of thing. On the finish is where I think the wine barrels really play a pretty big role here. It finishes with a pretty big acidity. This is firmly tart and not sour. And that red wine barrel, I'm getting a little bit of like a oak tannin kind of dryness with a little bit of like a vanilla in there. It finishes firmly dry with a mild bitterness. All that sweetness up front just gets basically saturated with that acidic, woody kind of oak tannin dryness on the back of the palate. So it balances it out. But again, I kind of knew this would be more of like a dry beer, but I'm not a huge fan of dry beers. But I will say this is not too much for me. It's getting close to that edge of being too much for me, but it doesn't quite approach it. 8.2%. This drink's like, you could tell me this is a 6% mixed culture beer or Sour Farmhouse Ale or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, hides the alcohol beautifully well. This is just here's the thing. The nose set me up for disappointment. And beers do that from time to time, at least for me, where I go into the beer and the aroma is just like so fucking amazing and so inviting that I'm like, I can't wait to taste it. And I taste it. I'm like, man, it's like you sapped away like 25 to 50% of the intensity of the aroma into the flavor. Like it doesn't always translate to a T. And this is one of those beers where like the aroma was amazing and the taste is really good, but it's disappointing because if that nose would have translated, I'd be probably sitting here being like, this is a world-class sour. Like I would be. Not the case. That said, I really enjoy it. So I'm going to give Sonomica, part of their Woodshop Series, the 2020 vintage from Lagunitas. I'm going to give this a straight 4 out of 5. I think that's fair. I think if that aroma would have carried over, this is like 4 or 5 all day. Like that's how much of a difference the aroma to the taste was. The aroma was just magical. It was fucking so good. And then the taste is like, yeah, it's really good, but it's not as good as the nose was indicating. At the end of the day, though, it's a really well-made Sour Farmhouse Ale, aged in red wine barrels with Brettanomyces, because that happens all the time. But really, within the realm of this style or this beer type, I think it's really well done. I just would like the taste to be a little bit more impactful, and it's not. No big deal. 4 out of 5 is a good rating. So, price and availability on this one, I don't know the price point on this one specifically, but I would say this. Steven, if you remember what you paid for, let me know. If anybody out there has had this one before, let me know the price point. I would guess this probably comes in 4 packs, $12 to $14, something like that. Lagunitas, like I said, one of the best bang for bucks in craft beer. And if you told me this was $12 or $14 for a 4-pack, I'd be like, yeah, all day, every day. 8.2% mixed culture, kind of sour with Asian red wine barrels with Brett. Like, yeah, I could see them charging like $3, $3.50 for a bottle of this and not thinking twice. Availability, probably wherever Lagunitas gets sold, which is pretty much everywhere. So if you're watching this video and you're in the US, you probably get Lagunitas. If you're overseas in the UK or in Europe, you probably get Lagunitas. So yeah, not much more to say about it. Damn good beer. Wish it would have been better based on the nose, but shit happens. Can't always get what you want. But I do have a pretty good beer that I'm going to drink the rest of over the course of this evening. I'm going to pour the rest in here because we might have some goodies at the bottom. Take a little bit of a sip and just see if it changed, and then we'll close this down. Let me go. Nah, nothing changed. Maybe a little bit more of like an intense like cherry kind of, or like dark fruit type of taste, but outside of that, not really. So if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.